You don't need any fancy tools or designer skills, just a little creativity and things you've already got lying around your house. These 10 bag tutorials span 13 years of my Refashionista brain in action, and they're all surprisingly easy. Think old chains, faux fur, pillowcases, vintage bits and bobs. If it's in your house, we're going to turn it into a statement piece. We're starting off with a classic from 2013, my upcycled crossbody bag made from a chopped pant leg and a vintage necktie. Yep, I tried it and it worked. So grab your scissors, raid your stash, because you're about to turn everyday bits into your next favorite accessory. And hey, if you feel your inner DIY diva sparking up, then hit subscribe, share this with your thrifty bestie, and let's keep the Refashionista revolution rolling on. So let's get making that upcycled pant leg bag from 2012. So of course you need a pant leg, and I think this one was left over from a pair of pants that I turned into a skirt. And you also need a necktie and a coordinating button. So first you want to turn the pant leg inside out and fold up the raw chopped end about 1 centimeter. Then, of course, you want to bust out that Hausfrau torture device and press it flat. Then fold the pressed end of the pant leg up to the other end. You are flipping it over itself, and you want to keep it in the tube shape. So the pant leg will then become its own bag lining. Then stitch that all together, sew the bottom closed, and box the corners if you'd like. That's not necessary though. Then you want to grab your necktie and arrange and pin it in place on either side of your nearly finished bag. This is going to be your strap. Stitch that on and attach your awesome buttonhole foot and put it to work. Stitch on your button and your fabulous bag is complete. So next up, I figured I could make a really cute bag out of those chopped boot tops, so I grabbed a necktie to use as the strap. Then I decided I don't like the fringe on those boot tops, so I chopped it off. Then, of course, I had to put those boot tops together with the right sides facing, and I chopped off any of the edges that weren't really lined up or looking so great. So as you can see, I simply arranged my necktie on one of the boot tops and then I carefully stitched it on. And then, of course, all I had to do was stitch on the other side of the boot top to the other side of the necktie. And this was a little bit picky. I will admit that even 10 years later, I remember the pickiness, but it was well worth it. And then all I did was stitch the ends of the necktie together to finish off my strap. And of course, added that groovy little button and buttonhole. Let's take a look at this awesome bag, which is now over a decade old, and you can see it is still going strong and looking absolutely just as awesome as the day I made it. Although I will admit that back then, I was just starting out on my Refashionista journey, so maybe the buttonhole isn't the straightest in the world, but it doesn't matter. It gets the job done, right? But look, it's still great. It is so sturdy because you can see here, I even went over the existing seams again because I was so scared that these fast fashion boots were not going to last as a bag, but it absolutely has. The tie is super sturdy. Come on. If I can make this stuff, you guys can make this stuff. And if I can make it to last, so can you. Hey, Editing Sheri here, taking a quick break to remind you that my 6 stupendous Refashionista books are available on Amazon. And if you're ready to kickstart your upcycling journey, I highly recommend my ebooks and mini courses because they start at only $6. So click the links below and join my Refashionista revolution. Next, we're heading back to 2015 when I shared 3 marvelous methods for adding straps to those little bags that don't have straps. So for this, of course, you need some fantastic little bags that don't have straps from the thrift store, from wherever, some sturdy chains, and a pair of pliers. I just used some chain I had at the bottom of my toolbox. You can use old necklaces, whatever the heck you have on hand is fine. The first method is to simply add the chain to the existing strap hardware of the bag. Luckily, some bags actually have these, so they're just missing the strap. Method 2 is to take some coordinating embroidery thread and securely stitch the ends of the chain to your little makeup bag or clutch on each side of the clasp or zipper. And this just means that you can then open the zipper or the clasp a lot easier. And the third method is to attach the chain to the hole in the hinge on either side of a coin purse frame. And I think these are so fantastic. They are so simple. And let me know which one you like best. To this day, I absolutely love my little coin purse necklace.
Hello, today you maybe wonder why I wear such a warm hat. It's springtime here in Toronto. No, it's not springtime yet. But today I show how you can easily transform vintage fur hat into fantastic new purse.
For this quick and quirky project, you'll need a funky old fur hat, a length of sturdy chain, some giant snaps or some no-sew Velcro, and sturdy thread and a strong needle. So your first step is to simply stitch one end of the chain to one side of the interior of the hat. And then once you have that done, just pinch the sides of that hat together and give it a couple quick stitches just to conceal the end of the chain inside. Once it's all stitched together, it should look like this. And then all you got to do is grab the other end of the chain and repeat the whole process on the other side of the fur hat. Once you have your lovely chain strap all stitched on, go ahead and attach your closure, and your fancy new bag is complete and ready for action. In 2017, I shared my simple embellishing technique, which uses a very easy DIY image transfer. So first you need a plain bag and your design inspiration. Mine was this very cool vintage trivet that I have had in my kitchen for ages. Next, you want to raid your wrapping stash and grab some tissue paper plus a piece of chalk. Put the tissue paper over the design and carefully but firmly trace over it with the chalk. Press the tissue paper chalk side down onto the bag and gently rub over the area of the design. When you remove the tissue paper, your groovy design will be transferred to the bag. Then you just grab a few fabric paints or markers. This all depends on the material of your bag. Mine was suede, so I just used some fabric paint markers and then traced around it with regular marker, and it was fine. So then, using the chalk lines as a guide, you can go ahead and recreate the design on the bag. And then once you're done, those chalk lines will just simply blow away or gently wipe them away if they're being stubborn. And it looks fantastic.
And 3, 2, and 1. Oh, hi. Oh my God. I haven't seen you in forever. It is unbelievable. Yeah, you remember me? I'm Candy. I am Refashionista Sheri's personal trainer. You know, I make sure that she exercises and trains and, so she can make you these awesome tutorials and have energy. I mean, come on. Anyway, it is her 30 days of refashions right now. And so I had the idea for her that she should make another no-sew belt bag for me, but like a totally different method this time, using this belt, because I am so tired of like not being able to have my gum with me when I am training her. It is very, very important. So here it is. Here's the tutorial. Enjoy it, and I will see you later.
For this super simple no-sew belt bag, all you need is a bag that is kind of plasticky on the outside, but has a lining on the inside, as well as your belt, a marker, and some kind of cutting tool. Next, grab your belt and place it on the bag in the position where you would like the bag to sit on the belt. So you don't want it too low, you don't want it too high, somewhere in the middle-ish works best, I think. Then grab your marker and put a dot on either side of the belt, a few centimeters in from each side of the bag. Then you want to open up your bag and kind of pull the lining out as best you can from this back side, because you're going to be cutting through dot to dot here, and you do not want to chop through the lining if you can at all help it. So then you just want to grab your cutting tool and really, it's carefully and slowly chop through from one dot to the other dot, and then repeat on the other side. So now you should have 2 small slits in the back of your bag. Then grab your belt, and with the right side of the belt facing the back of the bag, simply slip it through one slit and out the other one, and yeah, that's it, guys. Your belt bag is done and and ready to be worn. So simple.
Oh, hi again. You say it totally worked. I can work out, and I have my gum, and you know, you don't want to put a lot of heavy stuff in here, but here, I'll show you what I carry, and then you'll totally know what you can carry. Okay, so I have my lip gloss, of course. I have my hairspray. I mean, yes. I have my perfume. Very important when you are sweaty and working out. I'm sorry, when you're glowing and working out. And of course, I have my gum.
Shoulder pads. Those are fantastic 80s shoulder pads that we all have in our stash that, you know, we chop out of those ginormous shoulder padded 80s wear. So let's get making. So I have my 2 very, very midnight black shoulder pads here, a vintage zipper, and some very cool vintage lace that I've had in my stash forever. But let's talk about this zipper for a minute, because hello, how cool is this? I have been holding on to this. I have several of them actually for quite a while, and this one you can see was 50 cents originally. And yeah, let's open this beauty here. It is, I mean, super 70s, maybe even 60s, and it's from the Unique Zipper Company in Vancouver. So hey, it's Canadian made. So let's open this up and check out these very vintage instructions. They're always so cool though, vintage instructions. And this is supposedly can be installed in less than 5 minutes. So let's see. Okay. So I think I want to have them facing together with this kind of, you can see it's kind of opening there. So let's put, oh, and it has here where it was stitched onto the shirt, little indentation. So let's make that the inside. I'm thinking, oh, I guess I should check the zipper, right? And it is still functional, so that's great. Okay, after so many years. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna, you know, go stitch that onto one side here, and then go stitch on the other side as well. I mean, yeah, in less than 5 minutes it'll be done, I think. Okay, so I got my zipper all stitched on, and it came out pretty awesome actually, and it truly was about 5 minutes to get this stitched on. Now I want to add my lace trim, but as I was, kind of arranging this, it bunched up, and I didn't think it was going to be so bunchy because it kind of has this nice curve, but I'm not going to be using this one because it's going to be too bunchy, and instead I'm going to use this one because, let's do from the side, it is going to curve nicely around that edge, and then I'm just going to fold that down, and I'll have a nice little lace kind of bottom to my little purse here. And my adorable little mini gothic purse from Shoulder Pads is nearly done. I did go ahead with this little tiny piece of lace that was left over. I made like a little finger or thumb loop to carry it around and hold it. But if you can see, I'm not sure if you can see, there is a pull here on this side. And so I went through my iron-on patches stash and I found these three, and I'm not sure which one I want to put on, so I need you guys to help me decide. So first we have the faux zipper, kind of looks like a fake pocket. Next we have this adorable camera. That looks pretty sweet. And finally, we could go, kind of rock and roll punk goth and add the flaming skull. So please do let me know down below which one you think I should iron on, and I shall do it. So, I mean, gorgeous, and it's so adorable. You just like hang it on your finger. It is perfect, and I think it might even fit like a pair of sunglasses or something, but absolutely let me know down below which patch should I put on here. But let's just dive right in. So with the first two placemats, we're going to make a very quick and easy messenger style bag. So of course you need two placemats and a zipper or whatever kind of closure you want for the top of your bag, as well as something for a strap. Now, I've had these ones in my stash for ages, and I'm still not sure which one I'm going to use, but that doesn't matter actually. I can interchange them because I'm going to use these D-rings on either side of my bag, so I can, just clip my straps onto it. So I'm often asked, where do I get all of my kind of materials? And honestly, for the most part, I get them at the thrift store, at garage sales, at swaps. I really don't buy anything new if I can help it. For example, these zippers, I scored a whole big bag of them at the thrift shop a bunch of years ago for just a couple of euros. The D-rings here are actually from something else that I refashioned, so I just removed them. The same thing with these straps. They're either from an existing bag that I already have, or I pick them up at the thrift shops. You can usually get, bags of these kind of loose straps for quite cheap. And then, for example, like with my rings here, I just hold on to them, in repurposed containers. Like, here's my buckles and clips. And this has all the buckles and clips that I've been collecting over the years. And that's all I did to find my D-rings. I just dumped this out and wham bam, there they were. So first, let's quickly open this vintage zipper and marvel at how awesome the packaging is. I'm always so excited when I get to use one of my vintage zippers because they're so cool, compared to the packaging of today. Like, all these cool little labels that are in here. And of course, I always got to make sure that it actually works because they are very, very old. And look at those instructions. That is like so super duper cool. Okay, let's give this a quick test. Ooh, it's a bit, yes, okay. Whew, I was concerned, but just needed a good hearty pull. Okay, let's get making the bag. So of course, the first thing I did was decide which placemats I was going to use and laid them both face down. And now I'm just gonna take my zipper and attach it to one end here. And then once that's attached, I'm gonna stitch it on the other end. And because these are not stitched together yet, it is very, very easy to stitch on the zipper. So my zipper is stitched on to both sides. So now let's do the ultimate test here. And ta-da! It actually works. And that is awesome because I was a bit concerned when I was stitching it on. But now we can move on to the next part and we're seriously almost done. So yeah, we're just gonna fold the placemats evenly together with right sides facing. And now we're just going to go stitch up all the open edges. So it's all stitched together. Now let's flip it right side out and see what we got. So here is another quick reuse refashionista tip. I hold on to my old wooden spoons. Clearly, I mean, you can see this one. I use it for glue gunning a lot, for poking corners and stuff. And that's what I'm going to do. Just going to use it to gently poke out my corners here. So that looks fantastic, and the zipper is still functioning. Yes, so let's move on to putting on those D-rings and the straps. So I just had a thought that for some extra safety, I'm going to fold this top part down like so, then can flip it over, and I'm just going to put my D-rings both on the same side. And luckily this has a really nice pattern on it, so I can line them up pretty perfectly here. And then all I'm going to do is stitch them on with this nice, rather thick embroidery thread, and then my bag will be complete. Yes, it came out so good. I mean, again, as everything, like the flap is perfect. The every time this happens, the D-rings are nice and secure thanks to that thick embroidery thread there. And the best part is I can, you know, switch out the straps to something else if I want to, which is fantastic. But I mean, come on. You don't get any better than a relatively instant tote bag. Is this tote bag? It's got a zipper, so is it a tote bag? Messenger style bag. I scored these absolutely awesome handmade, probably vintage crocheted placemats at my thrift shop for only 99 cents for both. So of course I had to snap them up because they are almost in my Refashionista brand pink color. And I knew I had the perfect item waiting at home in my stash to transform them into an absolutely adorable bag for spring. So let's go do it. All right, let's look in my stash and find that thing that I think will be perfect. But first, let's say hello to my Barbies. Hello, everybody. How is everyone today? I think they are all absolutely fabulous. And if you would like the information behind my stunning vintage dress, I shall link it down below for you. But now, yeah, let's get to the stash. So it is this one here that we want. So we'll bring it over to the table. And you see, perfect. This is perfection. All right, so to create this bag the quickest and easiest way possible, all you need are, you know, 2 placemats. And I think it's really cool that these are round and crocheted. And of course, you need your coordinating fabric belt. And this is going to be the strap. This is going to be so super simple. Now, I could put a lining and everything, but as I said, I want this to be the fastest, easiest tutorial ever to make a tote bag. So we're going to forego the lining today, but I can always add it later. And if you would like me to create a tutorial showing how to add a lining to a bag, let me know down below and I shall do that for you. But I think all we're going to do here is first stitch one side, then the other side to this fabric belt, and then our bag is going to be done. But the very, very first thing I'm going to do is stitch these ends together because I want this to actually be the bottom of the bag, so it's not going to be visible on my shoulder. All right, so I have the ends all stitched together and I just went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. This is not going to come apart at all. It is incredibly sturdy. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be on the bottom. And as I always say, perfection is the enemy of good enough. So this bag is going to be good enough for me. All right, so I'm going to grab one of my placemats here and flip it around so I have the right side facing out. And you can see, I mean, this isn't perfectly made. It's not a perfect circle. This part seems to be smaller than this part, but again, it's good enough. That's all we care about. So because it has these lovely little points here all around the edge, I think I'm going to stitch my handle, my strap, just about here. So then when both of these are together, you can see like that, it's going to have this cool little space here, and these little decorative points are going to conceal the strap, which also then is going to kind of become the side and bottom of my bag. So this is so simple, right? It's just too easy. So I'm just going to carefully go and stitch all this around to about, where do we think? To about here, I think, because I want to have a nice opening, nice generous opening to the bag, but I don't want it to be too open that things are going to fall out. So I think about there. So as you can see, I moved that little bloopy bit here of the crochet down to the bottom, and I popped a pin in each, I guess, petal, let's call these petals, each petal here where I want to stop stitching this on, because I think because it's probably going to stretch, I'm definitely going to be using a tight, wide zigzag and going over it a couple of times for extra strength. Alrighty, one side is all stitched on, and I think that is going to be absolutely perfect. So let's grab the other side and get it stitched on as well. All right, so it took me way too long to figure this out, and I've actually shot this scene. This is the third time shooting it, because the other two times I thought I had it all set up and pinned and everything, took it over to my machine, and it was totally wrong. So let's hope this time it's going to work. Okay, so I have my soon-to-be bag with the inside facing down and the right side facing up, and now I'm going to grab my other placemat, and I'm going to match up those right sides. And luckily, this one also has that kind of little not so even bit here, so I can easily match those up. But I'm matching up here as well with my strap, so I have to kind of fold and stitch as I go, because I definitely do not want to catch the interior part of this fabric. So I'm going to go now and stitch all of this together, and hopefully it's going to be successful. And it actually worked, and it is super sturdy. This came out so perfectly well. It is awesome, but I think it needs a little closure on it. So I went and I found the most adorable little flower button in my stash, and I'm just going to stitch it on here, and then I can use the existing little hole details here to, you know, seal up my bag so nothing can fall out. How totally cutie patootie awesome is this bag? I think it's definitely time that we go style it up. Too cutie patootie, I think. Now, I'm pretty sure that everybody has placemats either in their house or easily found at the thrift shop, so you can make one of these absolutely adorable bags. Also, I did share before an amazingly simple boho zipper clutch bag that I made out of a single round straw placemat, so I'll link that down below for you. We are finally going to use these gorgeous pillowcases that I thrifted almost a year ago, and we're going to transform them into a most excellent bag. So let's get started. Alrighty, we have to go into my little storage here and get my collection of fabric belts. But you know what else? I think we should also maybe look through my collection of just regular belts for refashioning and see which we're going to use for a strap. Oops, and I am forgetting something very, very important, and that is some fabric for the lining of the bag. And here's my stash of thrifted vintage fabrics that I rarely use, and I actually should use more. But this is cows, right? I don't think I'm going to be making any garments from cow fabric, so let's use this for the lining. Pop back over to the table. Okay, I think we finally got everything. We have the pillowcases, lining fabric, and something for the straps. Right, so I started going through this first, and just as a little Refashionista tip for you, if you ever come across a belt that doesn't fit you anymore, or maybe it starts peeling, you know, the faux leather belts always start peeling, just hold on to it because they make really good bag straps, or you can wrap them around your boots. I mean, there's just so many uses for them. So let me know if you want me to do a whole video dedicated to how to use belts that maybe aren't so great anymore. Or another thing here, you know, those belts that come with vintage dresses that like match the vintage dresses. I always hold on to those too. I rarely wear them, but like here is one here, and I thought it might go, but I don't think it really matches. But I'm just going to show you how you can use this to create a very cool strap or handles for your bag. So all you're going to do is chop it in half, okay? Then you are going to attach each of those chopped ends there, right? Like you're attaching one end on that side, the other chopped end on the other side, and you're doing it that way so the buckle part and the holes, I don't know what these are, belt loop holes thing part are at the top, so you can actually make an adjustable strap bag. How cool is that? It is so, so simple, and it's a great way to use up those belts that maybe you aren't going to wear anymore, and you create something awesome with it, an adjustable strapped bag. Okay, so we know now we're going to use one of these fabric belts, and these are not just fabric belts. They're also the chopped waist ties. You know, on like a lot of empire dresses, they have these little waist ties. I don't like them, so I always just chop them off. So let's just go through and see what's going to match. I actually thought this would be pretty cool, and this is again a couple of ties, and it is 2 pieces, but if you've been with me for a while, you know I love a good pattern mix, and I think the greens are close enough on there that that would look pretty spectacular. So that's definitely in the mix. And as I'm looking through this again, oh look, here's another fabric belt from a vintage dress. And I thought maybe this one as well, because this is green, right? And it is very, very sturdy. It's like a canvas. And I actually think this is a piece left over from a coat belt that clearly I chopped it and made it into something else. But it's not really long enough to be anything more than a shoulder strap. And I really like to have long messenger style straps, you know, so I can wear a crossbody type of bag. But I could do 2 shorter straps with that. I don't know. I think we'll have to do a poll, and I'll ask you guys which one should I use. That's blue. That's not going to work. And oh, that's another really sturdy one. But that's more like a ribbon. Yeah, let's go do the poll, and we'll see which ones you guys chose. So as I said at the beginning, I thrifted these pillowcases quite a while ago, and they've just been sitting in my stash, and I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do with them. It's got like they're really not comfortable for pillowcases because this gold thread here is very, very puffy but scratchy at the same time, and I don't think you'd really want to have any part of your body touching it. It's really unpleasant actually. And of course they are quite vintage, so there's some rips and some stains on the back part here, but I don't care because I figured let's make them into a tote bag and then everything's sorted. And it's quite sturdy fabric, so I think it will make a perfect tote bag for doing errands and shopping. All right, now like I said, this, you can see, I mean, it's broken here, it's torn and ripped here. So let's just rip it some more and take this off completely. Wow, that's coming off very, very easy. And I always think, you know, you can tell how vintage and handmade something is by how easily you can literally just tear through the seams. Okay, so there's one. Now I'm going to do the other one. All right, both of the back parts are removed, but the zippers are fine. And this fabric is actually pretty sturdy. So I'm going to remove the zippers from the fabric. Everything's going to get put away nicely in my stash. And then I will have some zippers and some extra scrap fabric for future use. So interestingly, these vintage pillowcases have kind of like a foam lining all the way around the outside edge and a kind of net lining on the interior, which is interesting. I'm not sure why that is. Perhaps because it has this piping detail around the outside, and maybe this helps to keep it in place, but it definitely makes it a lot sturdier. But I still need a lining, so let's create the lining. On to making the lining now, and if I can figure out how to do this, anybody can. It is so super simple, and here is the easiest way I have found to make linings for tote bags. So you need a piece of fabric that, when it's folded in half pretty evenly, it can easily create the perfect lining on both sides, front, back, for the interior of your tote bag. And then you simply lay out, there we go, your template fabric. That's going to be the exterior fabric for your tote bag, and leave yourself some seam allowance on either side, and simply cut here and then cut here. And you know what? This bottom edge is already done, right? Because it's folded, so you don't have to worry about splitting seams or stitching it or anything like that, because it's folded and it's super sturdy because it's folded fabric. All right. So clearly I want the cows to be facing outward, so I'm going to fold it in half again here with the right sides facing. And then I'm simply going to stitch this side and this side, leaving the top part open. Okay, just in case we hear any background noises, Mr. Skelly has joined us here on our shooting time. So hopefully he's just going to lay down on his lovely new bed. Maybe not. And then I can get this video shot. Hey, buddy. Hello, my buddy. My good boy. All right, this is all stitched together, and the good thing about making liners is you really don't have to trim off these little threads or anything. I actually just give them an extra knot, and then we're gonna flip our liner fabric right side out and poke out the corners. If your corners are a little bit tough to poke out, use a chopstick, a toothpick, whatever the heck you have on hand that isn't going to poke through the fabric. But look, how nice does that look? That is pretty perfect. And now let's just do a little bit of a measure here. It is, look at that. It is absolutely perfect. And oh, I just wanted to show you as well here on the top, I did fold over that raw edge and stitched it down just so we don't have any fraying fabric whatsoever. And if we do, it's all going to be hidden inside the bag. So who cares anyway? So because these pillowcases have all of this interior stuff going on, I'm going to see if I can put them together with the right sides facing and line up this decorative piping and then stitch all of this interior stuff together from the one side down across the bottom, back up the other side, of course, leaving the top part open so I can add my lining and my straps. But fingers crossed that this is going to work. If you don't have all of this kind of stuff going on with your fabric, you can just simply put it with right sides together and stitch it together. But I got to be a little bit more careful because I got some stuff going on with this funky vintage fabric here. Alrighty, this is all very carefully stitched together. So let's flip it right side out and see what we got. just like we did with the lining, we're gonna poke out, oh look, cute, poke out those little corners. And, oh, and that came out really good too. I actually ended up stitching the bottom, I think I did 3 times because it was really fraying. So I did go over that just for extra sturdiness. I mean, it's going to have a lining, so nothing should really be touching the bottom here, but it's, you know, just for my own peace of mind. And yeah, perfect. Look, the top actually is going to look amazing too with the little tassel-y things here. I did end up stitching the fraying ends of the tassels inside just because I think that looks way cuter just to have almost like little pom-poms there on each corner. But now it is time to put the rest of this together, get the straps on, the lining, and then we're going to be done. Yay! All right, I have my exterior of my bag, I have my interior of my bag, and I'm still not sure what straps. I did ask across all of my social media, of course, here on YouTube, Community tab, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Facebook, and everybody was really helpful, yet not, because it was pretty much a tie across the board. But I think, you know what? We're not going to make a decision right now. We're going to first put in, no, we can't. We have to make a decision now because we can't put the lining in and be done until the strap is sorted out. Oh, what a conundrum. These are definitely first world refashionista problems, right? But you know what? I think I got to do the super pattern mix here with all of these. So the first thing I'm going to do, because these were ties actually on a shirt, they need to be stitched together here. First I thought, oh, it'd be cute to do a little knot and then I could maybe, you know, adjust the strap, but I really want this to be able to go across my body because that's how I like to wear my bags. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch these two together. Who else has this happen to them too many times where you get too excited about a project or you're just not paying attention because you're grooving to some cool music and yeah, you don't notice that your bobbin is totally empty and you just stitched the whole thing together and it didn't stitch together. So I'm going to go refill my bobbin and then stitch this together properly. So now this is all securely double stitched together. We can add this lovely strap to the bag. And to do that, all you need to do is pop it in to one side of the bag, right over top of the side seam, and just use that side seam to make sure it's centered. It doesn't have to be in there very far. Of course, the further far down it is, the further far down, is that proper grammar? Probably not. You'd never know. I used to be an English teacher. Anyway, okay, so the further down it is, there we go, the more sturdy it will be, but I think I'm just going to do it about there. That's about 5 or 6 centimeters down from the top edge of the bag, and then just pin that in place and do the exact same thing on the other side, making sure the strap is not twisted because that is a big pain. See, mine was twisted. When you go to put the bag on, it's all finished and your strap is twisted. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing here on this other side, pin it in place, and then go stitch this on, and then we can put the lining in and the bag is going to be done. And there I have both straps stitched on. I just went around the exterior here in a sturdy square. And because it's actually going to get stitched on again once I stitch the lining inside, I don't think I need to do anything else. That's very, very sturdy. And look, how cute does that look? That is so adorable. Okay, let's be done now. Let's get this lining in. So of course, for the lining to look lovely, it needs to be inside out. And we are putting it right inside the bag. And we're going to try to get everything lined up, right? Like the corners, absolutely everything pushed and pulled and arranged where it should be. So it's all nice and flat and lovely. Look at that. That is really, really perfect. Okay, shake it in. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Right. Now, where is my side? There is my side seam. And as always, I'm going to be using my side seams as my guide here. And I'm just going to match those up, grab a pin that together, and do the exact same thing on the other side. And then all I have to do is go stitch this all together. And I'm going to make sure that I am stitching the lining just a couple of millimeters below the exterior fabric here, just so it's totally hidden. And then when I look inside, or anybody looks inside, they get a lovely treat of adorable cows. So once you have everything pinned in place, here's a really quick and easy Refashionista tip here, and just flip it all inside out, and it just makes it a lot easier to stitch everything together, because you just slide that on your machine and go all the way around. Alrighty, the lining is all stitched on, and you can see here I did do a double stitch just for extra security there, and these straps truly are not going to go anywhere. And I just realized I think this could actually be a reversible tote bag, because how cute is that to have the cows on the outside as well? So yeah, very cool. We just did a reversible tote bag, surprisingly, awesomely. So let's flip this right side out so we can get to the real fanciness here. La la! That looks absolutely wonderful, and it is so lovely and big. So I think in the future I might actually add a Velcro or zipper or button closure. I'm not sure. You let me know what you think down below. But I think this bag came out absolutely adorably. And best of all, it is totally reversible, so you can wear it for so many different occasions. And that's a wrap on this rockin' Refashionista DIY bag bonanza. If you're ready to level up your sustainable style game, grab my books, take my courses, and join my Refashionista revolution. All of the links are down below, because sustainable style shouldn't cost the earth. And hey, if you loved this video, be sure to check out my entire channel. It is full of DIY goodness and just tons of Refashionista everything. Plus, don't forget to subscribe, share it with your thrifty bestie, and keep your scissors snipping.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.